Are you ready to put an engine in a Corvair? Because I know I am. Hey everybody, welcome back to Auto Anatomy. I'm Sean. Thank you so much for joining us. Today is a huge day and I am so excited to get started to work on the car today. All right, where we left off last time, we just finished rebuilding the engine. And as you can see, it is all back together. I've got all the fluids are in it. I've got some new differential and transmission fluid, all of that there. Got things a little cleaned up down here in the hole and ready to put in the brand new rebuilt engine. So it only took me about an hour or so to get the engine out. I don't think it's going to go in quite that fast, but I'm really hopeful. And then we'll get to try and start it up again and, have another, will it run kind of moment. I'm pretty sure that it will. And then take it on a test drive again, and then finally get around, maybe in another video, to wrapping up the cosmetic restoration of our Corvair. Listen, if you're not already subscribed, I know I keep saying this a lot, but it makes such a difference to our channel, and it really helps me know that you like the kind of things that we make. Please consider hitting that subscribe button and clicking on the bell to be notified when new videos come out. I'm gonna stop talking. Let's put this engine in the car. All right, so this is weird. It took me about an hour to get the engine out, and legit, no lie, about 20 minutes to get this thing where it's hanging under its own weight. It practically fell in place. So it's bolted in on the motor mounts front and back. Now we just have to put all the suspension, drive shafts, wiring, fuel system, and that's it. And then we get to crank it up. Okay, so we've got the car pushed outside. I didn't want to fire this thing up, with the exhaust pointing into the garage when the new engine starts, because it's likely going to smoke a little bit just with oil burning out of the cylinders and that kind of stuff. I've got some, like base timing settings in it, and I reset the carbs all back to factory specs. So we shall see. Let's see if this thing will actually fire up after it's rebuilt. I don't know why I'm nervous. I mean, I've built a bunch of engines before, but I get nervous every time we fire up a new engine. So let's give it a shot. You've got to be kidding me. This thing fired right up. All I did was put some fuel in the bowls. Sounds like you've got a little bit of a misfire. I'm sure it just needs to run a little bit. All right, so it's a few days later, and the car physically cranked up, and it was right before it started to snow. So I just pulled it back in the garage, and just had to wait a few days, had to work, and I'm just now getting around to starting to work on it again. So when it did crank up, obviously it ran, but you could hear that it had a valve ticking, so I need to adjust the valves. And the carburetors probably need to be resynced. I've got a little bit of a misfire. So I've got a few things that I need to do on it. So I'm gonna try and adjust the valves to the engine running. So I've got the valve covers off and the engine's cold. I'm gonna crank up the engine and let it warm up a little bit, and then show how Clark's Corvair recommends adjusting the valves. So let me crank this thing up, let it warm up a little bit. So the car is just about warmed up, and you can see, I mean, it's just dripping just a little bit of oil when it's running. Let me come up here so you can actually hear me. According to Clark's, it says that the way that you do this is slowly loosen one of the rocker nuts until it starts to clatter a little bit, and then wait 10 to 20 seconds, and then slowly tighten it till it just stops. Wait for 10 to 15 seconds, and then turn it in 0 to half turn slowly for racing, or 1/4 to 3/4 turn for normal driving. That they recommend like a 1/2 to 3/4 turn so that it doesn't clack when you start it up in the morning. So I'm going to go back there. We're going to start to adjust the valves and see if that makes any difference in the misfire. Okay, so I got the valves all set, and it's a lot quieter now, and did some kind of base settings on the carburetors, got them kind of synced, set the timing. It's a lot better, and I'm not 100% happy with it, but you can hear compared to what it was, it's running a lot better. Now, next things, when I pulled the car in after immediately starting it for the first time, I noticed the clutch just felt like it was off a little bit. The engagement wasn't quite right. So I've got to set the clutch, and then I think it's time to go take it for a test drive after that. All right, so I've got the clutch adjusted, and it feels really good. Car seems to be running okay. Let's go take it on a test drive and see how it does. All right, first thing I notice is that actually the engine seems to be a lot quieter than it did before. I didn't think the engine was particularly loud, the last time, but it seems to be running even more quiet, which I guess if it's running on, all 6 cylinders have got good compression, then it takes less throttle in order to maintain the same speed. The next thing I notice is that it's very smooth, and I think that's the same point where if it's running on all 6 cylinders, it's going to be a lot smoother than it would, if it's running on like 4.5 cylinders. The next thing I notice is actually kind of something I haven't talked about before. With the old engine, even after repairing all of the oil leaks, there was still some like residual things that I would see, like when you got on the engine hard and then backed off, the cabin would get flooded with some oil smoke and a little bit of like gasoline smell. So far, I mean, I haven't gotten on it yet, but so far I haven't seen that. So we may have fixed that problem too. Now the heat doesn't really seem to be all that fantastic in these cars. I don't know, how it's supposed to be. There's a vent back here behind me, kind of in the pack floor, that it's blowing out warm air, but it's not just particularly hot in the car. I don't know. I saw something about pulling off a fresh air hose, and maybe that would make it a little bit better for the winter time. So I'll have to look into that. All right, here we go. First time on the interstate. Woo! Not bad. Cruising okay. I'm just barely touching the throttle and riding around about 70 miles an hour. I've been driving the Corvair now for about an hour, and I think I've got a better sense of how it's doing now. Anytime that you build a car, there's always going to be little like quirks and things that you don't foresee that pop up. Like, I replaced every single exhaust gasket, all the donuts, everything, and thought that I had everything tightened down. Sounds like I've got a little bit of an exhaust leak. not a huge deal. The car still doesn't quite feel like it's perfect. Like the tune is off a little bit, and with piston rings not 100% seated in, that's, I think, something that I'm just gonna have to live with for a little bit until the engine gets a little bit better broken in, and then I can go back and make some more adjustments to tuning. It's already just immensely better than it ever was with the old engine. It's got more power, it's smoother, it's quieter, it doesn't burn any oil, just everything about it is better in every regard. All right, moving forward, the next things that we've got to do on the Corvair project here. There's a few things in the interior that I would really love to do. I've got some paint that is factory color for the car, the light blue, and I want to redo some of the interior paint. Like the dashboard has been painted a dark blue with like a gray insert, and it's just kind of chipped and faded and kind of nasty looking. There's some cracks in the steering wheel that I would love to repair, and then go ahead and repaint it. Basically, I think I've said this before, anything that you touch while you're, or like directly is in front of you while you're driving the car, I want it to be as nice as you can. I mean, the windshield needs to be replaced, and I'm not sure I'm going to get around to replacing it. But everything else I want to make as pretty as I can. I've got another radio. Gonna get on it here. I've got another factory radio that does work, that I want to put in with a new speaker, so that you can listen to some music when you're riding around. Other than that, I think we're pretty much done with the Corvair project. I can't thank you enough for following along with me on this journey. If you're not already subscribed, please consider doing so. Thank you so much for watching. God bless. We'll see you next time.